Hello and welcome to a Young Film Academy podcast episode. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yes, Dan is back, but I'm not on this episode. Well, I am, clearly. I'm here. But we have actually got the second part for you for this Project Paradiso special, where Amelia is talking to those involved in the Project Paradiso film, Lemons. This time she's going to be talking to the actors, which is incredibly exciting. So we get to hear what the experience was like bringing these characters to life and being on set starring in the movie in Sicily. So if you want to find out more about Project Paradiso, you can go to the website youngfilmacademy.co.uk/Project Paradiso or Project-Paradiso. And you can find out all about it, how we made it happen, how the young people crowdfunded the movie, and we all flew to Sicily to make it happen. So, yeah, here we go.
All right, so without further ado, here we are with the wonderful, beautiful Project Paradiso film cast. I'm going to ask everybody to introduce themselves. So why don't you give us a start, James?
Oh, hello. My name is James Leslie, and I played Miles in the film.
And where are you podcasting from today with us?
I am podcasting from West Yorkshire. I'm podcasting from Huddersfield, where the weather is currently better than it was earlier, we'll say.
Always an improvement. Great. Thanks so much, James. Emily.
I'm Emily Hinchliffe, and I played Lou. I'm podcasting from South Yorkshire, so not too far away from James.
That's great. And totally a coincidence, listeners, not something that we did on purpose at all. And then Lochlan.
I'm a little further away. My name's Lochlan. I'm in London. I'm in my student accommodation in London. And yeah. Oh, I play Hunter Campbell. Well, that's my character.
Great. So, and we know Lochlan's in London because we can hear the sirens. So that's how you know. So welcome. Thank you all so much for coming and chatting with us here on the podcast. I think, we wanted to really dive into what your experience was like making this film. And I know that we had lots of cool conversations while we were there. And actually, just before we started recording, James was saying that it all feels like a dream. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, no, it just it's weird since we've got back from it. It feels like it was ages ago. First of all, it doesn't feel like it was like a month, maybe a bit longer ago. But it's crazy. But you sort of just go back to your regular life, and then you kind of forget about it for a bit. And then when you think about it, you're like, did that really happen? Did that really happen? We went to Sicily and filmed a short film for a week. Did it really happen? But yeah, no, it did, and it was awesome.
Emily and Lochlan, do you feel similarly? Do you have that same kind of dreamlike quality of it?
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. It was magical, definitely. Yeah, the location, the lemon orchard, everything was, felt surreal for sure.
Yeah, it was. Life felt so dull for like quite a few weeks after coming back, because it was such like a peak. It was so amazing. And then you come back to like England, it's cold, you got it's just, it doesn't compare really.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful, beautiful place and a beautiful time. And I feel the same way. I think, did we really go? And the only reason I know that we did is because there is a film and we're working on it in post-production. So absolutely. Well, I'd love to hear if anybody wants to chat about what it was like when you found out you were accepted onto Project Paradiso, chosen for the project. How that went for you and what you sort of thought about that.
Who wants to take charge?
No, it didn't really hit me. Even when I was on the plane sitting next to Molly, who's on post-production, I don't know, I wasn't really aware of it. And it was actually until the second day for me to realise that there's like a film. So we did like the first day of filming, and even then it felt like a fever dream. It was crazy. And then we came back, and it's just, everything feels so fuzzy, like an old memory, like I kind of dreamt it. But I know my parents were so excited. I think it hit them straight away when they got the email that I was involved. And I don't know, every time they talked about it, I wasn't really engaging back with it. It felt like something that wasn't going to happen. But I'm so happy it did. It was a really good experience.
That's great. Thank you. What about for you, gents?
Well, I mean, definitely a similar experience. I mean, you know, like getting on the plane, going there, like it all felt weird, and it was like I still didn't really like feel like it hit me. But then, yeah, definitely when I got there, it was crazy because I thought I had like, even though like obviously I thought we had some very capable people. Obviously, I thought that like definitely filming a film is always quite like a chaotic experience, and obviously, you know, you love it or hate it. That's kind of how it is normally. But actually, like going through the whole experience, even though obviously there were some days that were chaotic and a bit long and all that, it still felt really like well put together, and everybody was really like there was a lot of synergy, and everybody really just wanted to like get this done, and everybody was, you know, like in their roles, like trying the best they absolutely could, and everybody wanted to do really well. So it really didn't feel like a, you know, like a really like difficult thing you had to trudge through. It felt like a really good experience from start to finish.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm really glad to hear that. James, what about you?
Well, when I found out, I was I hadn't gone to the Young Film Academy very recently. I think it had been 3, 4 or 5 years since I'd been, and I was I'd sort of stopped. I'd done a few other things after in the next couple of years acting wise, but then I sort of stopped doing it just because I sort of lost interest. Not lost interest, but sort of just thought, you know, well, A levels and all that sort of stuff as well, GCSEs, all that was happening, and then I just sort of stopped doing it, and then I was actually organising different gigs and stuff to do with my music, and then basically I got a call on the house phone, which is, you know, normal. I go and pick it up. I'm like, oh, hi, I use this. They're like, hi, is James Is James available? I went, well, that's odd because no one ever calls the house phone and asks for me ever. That doesn't happen. They're asking for my mum or my dad, but either way they asked for me, and I was like, yeah, who's this? I was like, it's James calling from the Young Film Academy. And then he explained, obviously, but he went, you know, you've been nominated by, we're choosing actors, you've been nominated by some of the teachers. I was like, oh, that's cool. I told my mum, and she was like, what? After they explained everything that was going on, she was like, what, are you joking? I was like, no, this is serious, but, you know, and it hadn't hit me at all anyway. Then a week, he was like, we'll let you know within a week whether you got the part or not. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Do I need to audition for it? They was like, no, because there's no script currently. But yeah, no, it was like, and then he let me know that I was going to be in it, and I was like, again, just didn't, like Emily said, didn't feel real at all. And then you get on the plane, and it was I didn't know anyone there really. It was sort of like, you know, you sort of getting to know people as well, going through, you know, the filmmaking procedure, you know, whilst you're still you're still making friends with everyone. It's absolutely crazy.
And what was that like? I know, you know, Lochlan has come to summer camp recently, but Emily, we found you through one of our other courses, and as you said, James, it was a while since you had been with us. What did you feel about the process of kind of meeting people and making friends, the sort of vibe of the crew on the project?
It was awesome. Really, I mean, from start, you know, everyone basically, we got to the airport and sort of the first thing everyone was asking was, you know, what's your favourite film? You know, who's your favourite directors? Which actors do you like? That sort of stuff, you know, for the people you didn't know, and then, you know, introducing where you're from, all that sort of stuff. And then you just literally throughout the days, the relationships just, for me at least, just got stronger and stronger and stronger as the thing went on. And then all of a sudden we're all like at the airport and we're like, right, we're not going to see each other for a while now. That's, you know, bizarre. It was, you know, like that. It was all great. Everyone was really, really positive. Everyone wants to help. Everyone wants to be, you know, nice, and it was brilliant. Everyone was making friends, you know, cracking jokes and stuff. It was awesome.
That's great. Did you feel that same atmosphere, Emily?
Yeah. I don't know. I talked to some people after we left, and they were like, it's crazy because at school, like, I have friends, but it felt this week we went to, I got on with everybody really well, and I felt the same because we all had really similar interests and the same goal for the end of the week. And I think we all just kind of clicked. And it was so nice as well because at breaks, when we had lunch or just in between takes, you'd hear like laughter and everyone would be talking to one another, but still staying professional during like the day. And then at night we'd all go out and and get ice cream and have like a laugh. And it was such a nice atmosphere. It was so great. Everyone was so nice.
No, that's wonderful to hear. Now, how about when you first read the script? What were your reactions? What did you feel kind of receiving this script, knowing to a certain extent it had been written for you, but also, you know, you, as James said, you didn't have to audition. You were sort of chosen, and then the roles were created around you. What was that experience like?
Crazy.
Yeah. just fun, just cool. It's getting into basically someone else's mind, kind of, they gave you, as a script, and you read it, and they're like, it's this beautiful script about this family in Sicily and memories, past, present, and the future, what's going to happen. And it's there was a lot going on with Miles, especially, and it was really, really cool to dive into something that wasn't similar to anything I'd done before. It wasn't it wasn't something I'd done before, and character wise especially, it was definitely nothing. I'd never done anything so meaningful and thoughtful and stuff, something that with that much immersion behind it, not even in the script. You could just sense it in the character itself. And I think it was really, really cool to get into that and really really try my best to be Miles. And it was really cool to see Emily and Lochlan doing the exact same. And it was really cool for us all to be, we're all in the same room, we'll literally just be chilling, and then they yell action, and then you're like, right, and all three of us are just in. And it was surreal, really.
I think the read through was crazy. I remember thinking, like, looking at Lochlan and James, being like, these are going to be my cousins for the week. And I think we got on especially on the last day. I definitely felt like we all had like a not family, not related. It was like the hugging scene. I was like, these feel like my brother's cousins.
Yeah, it is that. It definitely was like that. I agree.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of felt like to a kind of funny extent, the three of you sort of experienced what the characters experienced through the week, because for the most part we shot in sequence. And so you got to kind of feel that sort of awkwardness at the beginning, and the three of you didn't know each other very well, and there was that kind of tension. And then sort of by the end, your relationships had strengthened, and so it did make that, shooting those final scenes sort of more meaningful. Would you agree with that?
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
It was fun. It was fun at the start. I remember on the first day, the first day of filming, we were doing the first scene with me and Emily, and I was meant to be sort of surprised yet nervous, and when they yelled action, I was James Leslie, and I was surprised and nervous and scared. Josh came up to me after, and he went, "Yeah, it was a really good take. You look cool. You look nervous in that one." I was like, "Listen, mate, if I blanked completely. If I said the wrong lines there, absolutely, that's not my fault. I blacked out for a second." He was like, "No, it's good. We're going to do it again." But that was really, really good. Keep it. I was like, "Oh, good. Right, okay."
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like, on the first day, it was so nerve-wracking, and
it was, yeah.
Like little to no lines. It was like, I can't remember, stuttering. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. And then after like the second day onwards, it was like, oh, this is natural. Like, get the camera in front of me.
It was.
Yeah, definitely having a bigger crew was is kind of puts that pressure on, because I've been in a few smaller things, and it's like if you mess up a thing, it's like, okay, it's like 2 people or 3 people are like, all right, just do it again, and it's fine. But it's like when there's that many people, there's kind of that pressure to be like, all right, like if I mess up this take, everybody has to redo it, and everybody has to say, okay, cut, whatever, and it's like so yeah, definitely having that pressure is obviously a new experience for me, but yeah. Anyway,
I agree about the crew members thing. That was the most scary thing for me. You're meant to be a guy. You're meant to be in the room on your own, and there's there'll be like 10, 11 people behind you, and then there'll be 4 or 5 people watching you on a monitor outside, and then there's people here, there, and everywhere rushing props around. So it's just and it's all for this this little moment where they're pointing the camera at you. And it was.
It's an interesting thing. I know, I'm not sure if any of you have much stage acting experience as well, but that difference between getting in front of the camera versus the way that you sort of put together a stage performance is quite different. And I know that for me, when I first started doing on-screen acting, I realized that my job was so small that yes, I had an important job because when they called action, it was my turn to go. But there's so much that happens before they call action and so many people doing things that you realize you really are just a cog in a machine and then the machine is going to produce this film at the end. So I don't know if any of you kind of had that same sensation of sort of realizing, oh, I just really have to do my thing right now. And I don't need to worry about any of the other stuff as everybody else is worrying about all the other stuff.
I weirdly think that helped a little bit with everything. I don't know, the way you put it then made me think. I think that kind of helped. The fact that everyone was doing their thing made it easier for me, me, Emily, and Lochlan to do our sort of thing. And I feel like, that doesn't. But within that, it wasn't everyone was separated either. It still felt like everyone was working together. It was, there was a lot going on. It was crazy.
Yeah. I have to say I was kind of on the other side of that, where I was kind of like I had to kind of restrain myself, like first of all, not to find try to help the crew, which is like something I do, which is obviously helpful, not helpful, but also there's also things like just listening to one person is a tough thing, where like, for example, you'll have somebody on the camera be like, okay, and then move there and then move there and then do that. And then, oh, can you do this? And then I'm listening to them too much. And then I do it. And then the directors go, wait, what? You didn't do like what you were supposed to do here. And you didn't act this way. And I was like, oh, right. Because I was listening to the camera person. And obviously it's more convenient for the camera person if I hop over here and hop and do this and skip over here. But actually for the acting and the actual performance, it's, got to look realistic and whatever. And even if it doesn't look good on camera, it's got to, be true to the scene. So that's definitely something I struggled with. But it ended up, I think I got the hang of it towards the end, which was good.
Yeah, it's an interesting experience. I know, I wondered if you could talk a little bit, Lochlan, about, you said to me, I think while we were in Sicily, that this was the first time you'd ever shot a film out of order, because even though we mostly shot it in order, there were still a number of things. And actually, because of schedule changes we had to make, we didn't shoot the whole thing in order. And I know that that's one of the very new experiences. If you make your own films, you typically just shoot them in order because it's easier. And, if you're working on student films, they might do that. But on bigger films, obviously, and on huge features, they never shoot in order. So could you just talk a little bit about that and sort of what that experience is like compared to maybe what you've done before?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah. Like I said, a very new experience for sure. That kind of idea, and obviously, I'm not I wasn't new to that idea in concept, but actually going doing it and actually being a part of it in kind of an out of in a like. It was, most like, as you said, mostly in sequence, but some of the scenes were out of sequence. So kind of like having to I struggled a little bit in the beginning getting into kind of into character and really like taking a moment before the scene to be like, okay, what's going on? What are my goals for the scene? What has just happened? And kind of getting into character. And so that was kind of a new thing I had to do every time. But I think that, towards the end, I started getting better at it. But that's, definitely things I will take into other bigger projects if I am on them. Is definitely, just taking that time in the beginning to kind of, figure out what's going on. Because obviously it's very important for your performance. And, like you said in the beginning, it's quite awkward. And then towards the end, it's quite sweet. And obviously, like in my character, Hunter, has quite an arc throughout. Obviously in the beginning, he's quite snarky. And then he kind of transitions into being a bit more, caring and trying to kind of, come back into the family again. And so, that's definitely something I had to work on. But I got better at it by the end of the week. So that's good.
What other challenges did you all kind of encounter on a project of this size? Probably one of the larger projects you've done maybe up until this point. What other kind of challenges did you feel it was testing you about as an actor?
Having to try and stay in a specific mindset. Like if you're in a sad scene or quite a happy scene, when it gets very like technical focused, and there's all the lighting, and it can take quite a while kind of sitting there, and then they're like, action, you've got to try and stay in this like mindset in between takes, of like trying to not be tired and then not letting it show in the next take, or if you're meant to be like emotional and someone maybe makes a joke in between takes, you're like, no, don't laugh, you're meant to be sad right now. So I think I found that difficult, but it was a really good, interesting experience, and I learned a lot. And I feel like it was quite easy. Like the crew actually kind of kept an atmosphere. Like the crew's atmosphere kind of went along with the actors and what the scene was. So like, there's a scene at night and it's quite emotional. And when everyone was tired, because we were doing it quite late at night, it kind of helped. I don't know about everyone else, but definitely me as an actor, to the emotion that was needed in the scene, because that was the atmosphere around me. So it was like good and bad sometimes.
I definitely think that. I think when we're doing the more doing my really emotional scene, it was at night and it was late, and we'd already filmed a couple of scenes that night, and it was sort of like but then everyone had sort of gone, when it was a night film and we were doing serious scenes, everyone would go silent and they'd do the jobs, but everyone would try and really make it as comfortable a space as they could for people, for us to work and us to try and get to where we needed to be for the scene. And I think it was I think also taking notes from the directors was a cool thing that we had not done really much before. They as much in as much detail as they did, because we were working closely alongside them before and then throughout, because we all became really good friends talking about the script and how we thought everything was going to go. And I think because the directors were giving us notes all the time, they were as we were so in tune with the script, and we all had the same sort of idea about who was who or where we wanted to go, what we wanted to do with the film. Because of that, it helped me a lot. It helped me a lot be as comfortable as I can and try and get as good a performance out of Miles as we could, really.
I wondered if you could talk a little bit about I think there were a number of sort of really technical scenes that required quite a lot of you as not just emotional actors, but sort of the technicality of screen acting, things like props and taking a drink and making sure that you keep taking a drink out of the same glass with the same hand at the same time on the same line. Those kind of really almost minutia that perhaps, with good acting, which you were all doing, they don't become noticeable to the audience. But when you're shooting, those are kind of really important things, that continuity element, which maybe you haven't had too much to do before if you've been in really short films or student films. So does anybody want to talk about, I'm thinking especially perhaps at the very big dinner scene where there were...
Never eating pesto pasta ever. Again, ever.
That pesto pasta started off so good.
It was so good at the start. It was so good at the start.
I was like,
yes, we're going to be eating this all afternoon.
That decision.
Like, yes, we're eating this all afternoon. And then they're like, you're actually eating this all afternoon. And it's like, we had
I'll never forget watching you in one of those first takes, James. You took such a big bite, and I thought, I've got to go and tell him to take smaller bites, or else he's going to get really full really quickly.
There was one particular take where they were doing a close up on me picking food up, and they were like, I think it was Theo that was directing the scene, and Josh. I was like, what do you actually want? What do you want to do in this? This take? You want me to? She said, just pick the food up and eat. Just pick the food up and eat. So I was like, okay, because it was all a bit of a rush. So they said, right, everyone calm down, and they yelled action. And I just started like absolutely shoving this pesto pasta down my throat. And by the end of it, I just had like a full because my face wasn't in shock, but like I ended up just having like sort of chipmunk cheeks by the end of it, which. It isn't uncommon for me as well, but it was uncomfortable when we had the sun on one side, and then we had the idea that I would be instead passing the pasta on instead of eating it for the next take, because I couldn't take any more of it, really. Definitely not.
Oh no.
What other examples of that? I'm thinking of how much lemonade and fake limoncello you had to drink.
There was like
Surprise, guys! It was fake. It wasn't real. It wasn't real. It was pineapple juice, unfortunately.
A bit I found really hard. Doing this like scene that we were having a lot of fun in, and I did hit Lochlan side story with a lemon in the butt, and I didn't mean to.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah,
that scene was incredible to film.
But they said, right, while you're having fun, you need to stand still so we can get the camera close up on your like joyful faces. It's really hard to like stay still in this scene because we're all running around, basically without spoiling, fighting one another, and it was just really difficult. That was one scene quite difficult to do, as they said. I
think I agree with that one as well. When we were doing we did the bit after where Lochlan was climbing the tree and I was helping him climb the tree.
Yeah.
And then they're like right, we're gonna get the shot. Just do the same thing, guys. Just do the same thing again. And then by the end you're like lifting someone up a tree, you're doing all this sort of stuff. And they're like, there's no. And then Gonzalo stood there with the camera. And they're like, just do that again. Just do that again. Just do that. Just do it one more time. All right, we're lifting it up. We nearly got it. And then we did it. And then there's a genuine celebration in the scene. And there's not much acting needed when, you finish a day shooting and everyone's like, yes. And I think as well in the scene that Emily was talking about when we're all fighting in the lemon grove, I personally did a lot of falling over, not on purpose, but we were all shooting each other and stuff. And, there was one bit in it where they yelled like, that we were all, fighting, running around, shooting each other with war guns, all this sort of stuff. And then, they yell cut, and I turn around and Emily's got like her flip flop in her hand, like behind her head, sort of cocked, like they're ready to like sort of like sort of hit me on the back with. And it was like, those sorts of things on set were definitely the most exciting and feeling maybe scary as well, but.
Yeah, there was not much acting that day. It was just.
I was just about to say
fun.
it's one of those where there's not a lot of acting necessary. You can just sort of
just a
give
fun
over
day.
to yourself and have a good time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And again, Gonzalo was chasing us around with the camera, and I think it was Marcelo and Tristan behind him on sound. So he was like whipping camera around, and they have to like duck and get out of the way and stuff.
Yeah, not a fun day for the crew, but for the actors, it was great.
Yeah, that was when I was really happy that I was an actor on that day, because if I'd been crew watching everyone having like that fun, I would have been so jealous.
Yeah, no,
So fun.
What do you feel, what are the biggest things you feel that you learned from this process, as you go on to your futures, doing whatever it is that you hope to do, whether it be an actor or not, when you came back, are you conscious of things that you sort of really tangibly learned, either about the craft of acting or just in general about yourself, about your approach to the creative endeavors?
Yeah, well, one thing I would say, which is it's less about acting specifically and just more about being on a film in general. I think that I've learned in this project is kind of that I think that it's important. It's really, obviously, since it's a group effort, it's really important to be a good team player in general, but also just I think just one thing I really enjoyed about being on set was that every day I would come to set and I would just try to just try to make it as fun for everybody involved as possible, like in any way I could, and just kind of having that fun environment and kind of like, bringing like positive energy and whatever, because that's very important to the crew and to the cast. And just like, I think that kind of positive energy makes it so that on like the worst days of shooting, for example, if you kind of bring positive energy, that can pull people who maybe feel like they're kind of in the hole right now out of the hole. And then when you're in the hole, they hopefully bring that positive energy to bring you out of the hole. And then nobody's in the hole, essentially, is the idea. So, I think that wasn't really specifically about acting, but I just think, in general, being on a film, that's a very important thing to bring.
Yeah, we had a lot of conversations about the vibe, about the atmosphere that we were creating. And I think, one of the things that I was really impressed with and I was really proud of for all of us was our ability to kind of create an atmosphere that was fun but professional. You know, I think it's a really tough balance, and if you lean too far in either direction, it can cause problems for everyone from sort of top to bottom across the crew. So it's really, really great to see and to hear that you feel like you learned about that, because I do think, and that's, you know, like you said, it's not really about acting, but that's true of any kind of team endeavor, which no matter what you end up going to do, you're going to have to work with other people, and just recognizing that kind of vibe is super important. Yeah. Thanks, Lochlan. What about you, James or Emily?
Well, I think the thing I learned most is, I don't know, just what it's like on a set. I think it's the first time I've been on a set of this scale. And there's so much professional kit everywhere. There's so many people on set, and it's sort of like I definitely learned a lot from Eleanor as well, who was the acting coach sort of on set, and also makeup artist. But who was sort of I think she taught me a lot about just the acting process as well. Making sure that before the scene you can get yourself into the right place for that scene. If you're happy, you can be happy. If you're not, maybe, go and have a minute with yourself where you can think about the lines, think about where the character is, And I think that was really cool to experience. And I think that, if I get the chance to do anything like this again, I think it would, this has been the biggest learning thing for me out of anything I've ever done. So it's honestly, it's crazy. I also think it's, like Lochlan pointed out, I think it's very, very true that you try and bring joy to a set, you try and bring happiness, bubbly, make everyone happy. There's going to be bits where you're tired, there's going to be bits where everyone else is tired. You got to all try and maintain a team perspective, and I think the fact that we did have such a tight team is why I think we've made a really, really cool film. I think we've made a really good film because of how well we all work together, and even if you never know what happens with it, but either way we built a tight team, and it's definitely something that we can be proud of. I'd say no matter how everything turns out, it's definitely something we can all be proud of.
I think I realised how much I like film, because a school day is 7 hours, and you properly feel like that. You feel the hours, and with this, it was longer than a school day, definitely, way over. And it just didn't feel like that. It felt maybe 4 hours max, if you made me slim it down. And it wasn't. It was. I realised how much I liked it. Even the night shoots, I was enjoying myself. The early shoots. I also realised how much I don't like pineapple juice from this.
Agreed.
Oh my god!
I used to like pineapple juice.
Yeah, I did as well. I used to love it. I used to love it as well.
I used to like custard pasta too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was good.
It was a female-dominated set, which usually it's females who dominate post-production, but it was actually on set. The crew were mainly females, and that was really interesting. It was such a good experience, and I feel like I learned a lot. On the top of my head, probably I couldn't name stuff. I'm just too amazed by the experience of it all. It was just so good.
Could you talk a little bit more about that, or maybe James and Lochlan could talk about were you conscious of that it was a female-dominated set? One of our missions at Young Film Academy, our mission is to inspire the next generation of filmmakers, but we're really aware that there's a gender imbalance in the industry, and we're trying to do as much as we can to kind of address that. Is there something that, was that a tangible thing that you noticed, the difference or the fact that there were more females on set than males?
I'd say, it didn't make a difference to my experience at all, and I knew that it was. We worked it out. I remember one night, me, Tristan, and Lochlan, because we were in the basement. We said, guys, I think there's literally I think there's 7 of us and 14 girls, and we were like, oh, really? And we're like, yeah, and it's like, no, it's not that. There's there's not, that can't be right. Anyway, then you go out and you realise, yeah, no, it's definitely a female-dominated set, and I don't think it changed the experience for me in any sort of way. I think we still had a very, very awesome time out there making a really, really, really great film. And I don't think, I think, that problem in the industry is something that definitely needs to be addressed, because it's silly, There's, it's just silly. We're all people, and we all have the well, the same dream. If the same dream's to make a film, then let's go and make the damn film.
I would just like to clarify for our listeners that they were staying in the basement, but it wasn't what you imagine when you say basement.
Yes,
it was still a very nice room.
No, it was awful. There were dogs, there were rabid
we did
dogs
just call it the basement.
gnawing at our legs every night. It was awful.
Lochlan, don't do this to me, please.
Only joking. The basement was very nice, very cushy.
It was amazing down in the basement, by the way. I'm going to say, no, it was awesome. We just carried on calling it the basement because we were the basement crew.
The basement boys. Yeah.
Basement boys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, one final thing that I wanted to ask you all is, when you think about this experience compared to other experiences that you've had, what do you think is the main difference? What stands out to you about Project Paradiso versus perhaps anything else you've done with Young Film Academy or other projects that you've worked on outside of Young Film Academy, maybe at school or maybe outside of school? What differentiates this experience that you had from any others in hopefully a good way, but if there's a bad way, then please share it.
It was in Sicily to start with.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome that it was in Sicily. And I think the amount of people that you get in one space that are all interested in the same thing. That's unlike I've ever done. You go to school, everyone's got different interests, but you come to the Young Film Academy, generally, the camps as well, or you come to this set, and there's everyone's got the same goals. Everyone loves film, and I've never been anywhere like that where everyone's as interested in the same thing as unless you're in like a football changing room maybe. But
I would also like to say one kind of thing. It was an interesting sort of like piece, but I think the fact that there was money attached to it made it more interesting, not because obviously of the production value, but just because I think that the stakes were higher. And I think that ultimately made everybody band together. I think definitely like in other, film projects that I've been a part of, whatever, it's a lot, the stakes are a lot lower because, it's just like, the crew is very small to start with, it might be like 4 people in total, including an actor or 2 or whatever. So there's kind of the feeling of like, this could be bad, but maybe it'll be good. And that's kind of like the precedent, right? It's just like, let's try to make this good, but if it's bad, who cares? Whatever. And it's like, and that's definitely a great attitude to have when making things in general. Cause it's like, you want to just put stuff out and try your best. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. But I think that kind of having all these people here, we all gathered in Sicily and we kind of, we all kind of talked about how, important this film is and kind of like what it could do for, all these aspiring young filmmakers. I think it kind of gave everybody that hope and kind of like distinguish that sort of doubt that is in everybody's mind where they're kind of like, oh, what if it's bad or whatever. But because I think everybody had so much hope for the film and didn't kind of undercut it with the sort of like common negativity, which is just like, oh, like it might be bad, but it's whatever. Cause it's actually, obviously, it might be, but we're trying not to, because obviously there's so much there's like money attached and and there's a premiere or whatever. There's like so many things that are going to be lined up for it. So I think all that hope really helped us band together, which I think was very special. And I think could only have happened with the kind of stakes that the project was on. So, yeah.
That's really lovely. Thank you for saying that. I didn't think about that element of hope, but I think you're right. And I think the film is not going to be bad. I've seen a rough cut of it and it's not bad at all. It's wonderful. But I think that that's true, that you can sort of sometimes see that negativity or almost ambivalence that's sort of like, well, it will be what it will be. Yeah. Whereas, everyone came to Sicily with the notion that they wanted to make the best film that they could. And that was the design of the project from the Young Film Academy's perspective too, is we wanted to make the best film we could make. So that's really nice to hear. What about you, Emily?
I think it made it very special in the way that this is the first Project Paradiso to be done. And it's kind of what also made people want it to go well is that if it is like good and it goes well, then other people may have the chance to do it in the future and have this like amazing experience. And I think being like the first people to do this project, and everyone's got the same goal, and there's nobody that, like, because sometimes you do get the people who have come to the camp and it's not really what they thought it'd be, and they're not really having a good time. They're like, oh, I don't think this is for me, and it kind of brings the mood. And everybody was in the same mindset, and it felt so professional. It was just really good.
Yeah, I think that was what I was going to ask, is sort of compared to camp or other courses that you've done with us, Project Paradiso was designed to be a step up. And it sounds like, at least from what you said, you did sort of feel that notion that it was a different kind of atmosphere than maybe what you're used to on one of our courses.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
I think because everyone had their part. I think everyone had their part in it. When you're at camp or things, you're sort of mixing and matching, doing different things, if you're on the crew side of it, especially, but and then with the acting side of it on camp, it's always really, really, really fun. But the fact that we were in Sicily, and the fact that there was everyone there, and the fact that all of this was going on, and the fact that we was, you're still making relationships as well. It did have that element like camp, when you're first meeting new people and you're getting to know them, so you're enjoying that part of it as well, and then you've got it, and then you've got to do the acting as well. And I think there was a lot of similarities between it and camp for me, especially because I didn't I didn't know loads of people. I know there was a couple of people there that had known others from the past, but for me, I was making new friends every day, and it was great. But I think the fact that we were in Sicily, and there'd been so much build up for it. We all knew each other beforehand, but no one really knew each other. It was like we all been chatting, we'd all seen each other on FaceTime and the Zooms, and we'd seen all of this building up to it, and then all of a sudden you're just there, and then and you're in a different country as well, and then halfway through the day you can go down and have an ice cream in the village, and then walk back up, and then you're back on set. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and you can't beat the set, right? Looking in one direction, you see the sea, in the other direction, you see the volcano. It's not as if we were shooting in a place that wasn't especially beautiful.
It was. Yeah. Oof. Never short of lemons either.
No. And you know what? We were saying this just before we left, that we're even after that week, I'm not tired of lemons. I still want I want lemonade. I want fresh lemon. I really instead of making me feel saturated with it, I was like, I want more. I really desire that taste now and things, because we just had we had amazing food that was provided to us from the farm, so much fresh stuff. So that was really great.
It was incredible, by the way. The food was insane.
Good. Yeah, unbelievable.
And I mean, you're never going to get on another set where you get a 3-course dinner every night after you shoot. So take that and really internalize it, because it was a great experience that will not be repeated until maybe you're super famous.
The crafty won't quite compare, unfortunately.
No. So I want to ask you one final question that you've been asked before and in other ways, but we want to get it here for the pod, for the listeners. If you could summarize Project Paradiso in one word or one phrase, I'll give you a phrase as well. What would it be?
One of a kind.
Love it.
A good one.
A very good one.
Which puts the pressure on us, James. Come on.
It does, actually. I think. Do you mean the film or just Project Paradiso as a whole thing?
Project Paradiso as a whole thing.
I don't know. I think I'd definitely use something similar to just awesome, or mega, or just some sort of exciting adjective. Really, just all of the above in the exciting adjectives. That's what we'll say. And it was amazing. I'm definitely one of a kind. Emily was really right about that.
Now the pressure's on you, Lochlan.
Oh, man, yeah, and I'm the last one. But why did I do this to myself?
I weirdly dodged.
To me. I did notice that. Gosh.
I just talk your way through it, Lochlan. It's really easy.
Yeah. But, well, the thing about that is, it's there's to be condensed into a single word is quite difficult. But I would say community.
Community. That's a good one.
Community.
Yeah, I think community. Yeah, I definitely think community, because I think that whole. I think definitely there was especially I noticed this also, like, especially with the staff members, especially in that like context, it was very different because obviously, like, obviously at camp it's like, the staff members are still like, they still kind of have to like remain like an authority figure, and kind of make sure that they're not too like buddy with everybody, and kind of just to remain authoritative. But I definitely think that in this camp, it definitely like showed me a different side of the staff members, but also I felt like I could show myself a little bit more and feel a little bit more like we're kind of like we're more close to equals on this project, and we're all just trying to come up with like the best film that we can. And so I think that definitely was really cool, because obviously aside from being staff members, they're just like very talented people who know what they're talking about. So it's nice to kind of have them on our level to kind of help us through things. So yeah, that was definitely a very cool experience. So yeah,
that's wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Well, y'all, thank you for coming on the pod and chatting with us. I hope that this has been really enjoyable for the listeners, and they've all gotten to the end of this episode thinking, well, gosh darn it, I want to be on Paradiso. And I can't wait to see the film. And I know you all can't wait to see the film either, because you haven't gotten to see it yet. So it will be very exciting when we all get a chance to watch it. So thank you again, and we'll see you on the big screen.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.